Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here. With the release of the game only about 2 weeks away and a lot of the details finally made available, I wanted to talk a little bit about Skyrim Special Edition before it comes out. So today I'd like to take a look at the minimum and recommended hardware specs for Skyrim Special Edition and also for Skyrim, the original game, and Fallout 4 and see kind of where they fall into place in regard to each other. And then I also want to look at some of the features that they're promising for Special Edition, as well as some of the issues and concerns I have about it. And so without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So first off, we're going to take a look at the minimum specs. On the left, we've got the original Skyrim. In the middle, we've got Fallout 4. And on the right, we have Skyrim Special Edition. So first, let's take a look at Skyrim, because that's going to be sort of like the basis. It's going to be the lowest of the three, obviously, because it's the oldest. So the requirements are going to be the lowest and the least. I don't know. The least. There you go. So obviously back in 2011 we didn't have like Windows 8, Windows 10. So the OS requirements were Windows 7, XP, or Vista, and you could be running it either on a 32-bit or 64-bit system. As we see with the other two, that's no longer the case. That 64-bit system is going to be required no matter what. As far as processors went, anything with a dual core running at about 2.0 gigahertz was going to be enough to at least get the game running. With Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition, we're going to see mid-range processors. For Fallout 4, we see the i5 2300 at 2.8 gigahertz. With Skyrim Special Edition, they're recommending the i5 750 at 2.66 gigahertz. And these are both quad-core processors. So a pretty substantial jump up from the dual-core from Skyrim, which is a dual-core processor is pretty rare on anything that's considered a gaming PC. Like if you're gaming and you have a gaming PC, you've got at least a quad core, more than likely. And obviously these are just recommendations. Any equivalent processor would have worked. But as far as RAM goes, with Skyrim they were recommending 2 gigabytes of RAM, which seems insanely low. Fallout 4 Skyrim Special Edition, they're recommending a minimum of 8. And as far as graphics cards go, anything that was DirectX 9 compatible with at least 512 megabytes, that's right, megabytes of VRAM would have worked for Skyrim. With Fallout 4, they're recommending a 550 Ti or a Radeon 7870 with 2 gigs of VRAM, which is, I mean, if you buy like a pre-built gaming PC, you're probably getting something at least that. And with Special Edition, they're recommending a GTX 470 or that 7870 again. So 1 or 2 gigs of VRAM for Special Edition, where you were looking at a minimum of 2 with Fallout 4. Now here's the interesting thing. With Skyrim, the original game, you were looking at 6 gigs of hard drive space, whereas with Fallout 4 you're looking at a whopping 30. Skyrim Special Edition is coming in at 12, so it's double the size of the original. And as far as what those extra 6 gigs of data are, we're not entirely sure. We have some ideas. I'll talk more about that later though. For now, let's take a look at the recommended specs and see how they stack up against each other. So obviously the OS stuff isn't changing. With the processors, we see Skyrim bump up to a quad core, either an Intel or an AMD. And with Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition, they're recommending i7s now. With Fallout 4, they're recommending the 4790 at 3.6 gigahertz. With Skyrim Special Edition, they're recommending the 2400 at 3.1. So as far as processing power is concerned, Fallout is going to be much more demanding than Skyrim Special Edition from the looks of it. So, I mean, read into that what you will. But as far as processors are concerned, you're not looking at a very high requirement for Special Edition. An i7 2400 is definitely not the best processor out there. At 3.1 gigahertz, you can find a lot of processors with more horsepower than that. And so yeah, RAM, Skyrim they're recommending 4 gigs of RAM, and that seems insanely low to me. With Fallout 4, they're recommending 8, and Skyrim Special Edition, they're recommending 8 as well. With Fallout 4, that 8 seems low to me. I would probably recommend 16 gigs for recommended. Minimum 8 would be fine, but recommended, I think 16 is more realistic. Special Edition, we'll have to see if that 8 is realistic, or if 16 might be, you know, a more realistic ballpark. But again, we don't know exactly where the bottlenecking is going to occur in systems on this game. You know, it could be very processor heavy, it could be very GPU heavy. We don't know yet. So we'll just have to, you know, take it for what it is at this point. Speaking of GPUs, with Skyrim, they were recommending, again, anything DirectX 9.0 compatible with at least 1 gig of VRAM. So about double the VRAM requirement of the minimum specs. With Fallout 4, again, we're going to see about double here. They're recommending a GTX 780 with 3 gigs of VRAM, or a Radeon R9 290X with 4 gigs. So they were originally recommending 2. They're bumping that up to 3 to 4. Skyrim Special Edition is right on par with that. Again, 3 or 4 gigs of VRAM. So it's looking like it might be a little bit more demanding on the graphics card end, which makes sense because in my experience with Skyrim, especially modded Skyrim, VRAM was usually the limiting factor in the amount of mods you can run and the visual fidelity you could get out of the game. And then obviously the hard drive space requirements are not going to change at all as far as, you know, minimum versus recommended. So if we take a look at the overall kind of requirements, it seems like Special Edition is falling in between Skyrim and Fallout 4, which is exactly what we would expect. And it definitely looks, at least on the recommended side, that it's falling a little bit closer to Fallout 4 than Skyrim. So hopefully the visual quality in the game reflects that, because I think a lot of people were hoping that they would do a full conversion of Skyrim into the new creation engine that they use for Fallout 4. And while that hasn't been confirmed yet, I think as far as visual quality goes, it'll be very, very close. So before we get too much into that, I want to talk about a couple of features that might give you reason to pick this up. So first, obviously, we are running on an improved version of Creation Engine. Now, like I said before, we don't know if that's going to be the full like Fallout 4 version, or if it's just like an improved version of the engine that Skyrim was running on. They haven't confirmed any of that, but it is improved. So not only are we going to get better graphics, obviously, we're going to get just, you know, less buggy, hopefully, at least less buggy gameplay, less wacky physics, I imagine, and just everything that comes with a better engine, a more refined engine. And then, as I said, improved graphics. We're definitely getting better textures. They've said that they've improved on the high-res texture pack that they released as DLC for Skyrim. So whether we're getting like a full 2K pack, or I guess it's not a pack, whether we're getting full 2K textures, or if we're just getting less hastily done like high-quality textures, I don't know, but we are getting better textures. Hopefully we have higher poly models and meshes. I guess those are sort of the same thing. But yeah, hopefully we get like higher poly meshes. Maybe, especially in the modding community, parallax normals have been a big thing. Maybe we'll see some of that in Special Edition. And then a really cool thing, and something that we sort of saw with Fallout 4, although with limited or, you know, sort of questionable success, was mods for console users. So that's something to look forward to if you are, you know, a strictly console player and you really enjoy Skyrim. Also, on PC, you'll have the ability to transfer your save file from Skyrim to Skyrim Special Edition. With PlayStation 4, you're definitely not going to have this ability because obviously Skyrim was a PS3 game. Skyrim Special Edition will be a PS4 game, and so the saves won't be compatible there. That may be the same issue for Xbox One users. However, because Xbox One is backwards compatible, there may be a workaround or something for this, but all that's been confirmed so far is PC. Another confirmation for PC and not for console users is that if you own Legendary Edition on PC, I believe it's through Steam. I don't know how it works with other retailers, but if you own Legendary Edition on Steam, you will get a free copy of Skyrim Special Edition. On consoles, you will not. That has been confirmed. Because you're going, again, from PS3, Xbox 360 to PS4, Xbox One. So because you're changing console generations, they're not going to give you that copy. On PC, you're not changing anything, so they're just going to give you basically the upgraded version of what you already have. So those are some features that you might consider if you were thinking about picking this up. Now here's some of my concerns about it and some reasons why you might want to hold off until you've seen some reviews. So this is more of a concern for PC gamers, but my first concern is, are we really going to see any improvement over modded Skyrim? Because if you have been keeping up with, Skyrim and all the mods and stuff on the Nexus, there's a lot of really high quality mods and visual improvements and things, to the point where you can basically get Skyrim running in 4K and make it look like a game beyond, like, any of the Crysis games, or at least to a point very close. There's all sorts of 4K textures. You've got various different, again, parallax mods to add, depth. And I hate using texture, because you think like textures in like the diffuse maps, but like, like the physical sort of texture. So yeah, with modded Skyrim, the possibilities are almost endless. And so this brings me to my second concern, and that is that the mod availability for Special Edition is going to be limited. How limited, we don't know yet. But because this is on a new version of Creation Engine, many of the mods made for the original Skyrim may or may not be compatible. Anything built around the SKSE script extender, I guess that was sort of redundant because Skyrim script extender, you get the idea. So anything built around that is probably not going to be compatible with the new version of the game, because that's not going to work with the new version of the game, with the new engine. And those scripts aren't necessarily built into the new version, so you can't run the scripts you need, and they don't have them there. Anything built on SKSE, probably not going to work. On consoles, you're going to run into the issue that you saw with Fallout 4, where there's going to be limited download sizes. So for Xbox One users, I think it's 2 gigs. You can't download a mod bigger than 2 gigs, so that pretty much throws out any sort of visual enhancements other than maybe ENBs and stuff, small lighting changes like that. But as far as like HD textures and stuff like that, not going to happen. And then with PS4 users, it's going to be very small. I think it's less than a gig. So they might change that in the future, but until they do, you're going to be very limited in the mods that you can download. And then finally, a concern that I think a lot of people had is whether or not this, visually at least, is going to be on par with Fallout 4. And I think it's safe to say that it's probably not, although it might be close. Again, they're more than likely not using the full Fallout 4 engine, or the full version of Creation Kit that was used to make Fallout 4. Creation Engine, sorry. So it's probably not going to be on par with Fallout 4, but it should be close. So hopefully that gave you guys an idea of what to look for Skyrim Special Edition. If there's anything I missed, please feel free to throw it out there in the comments. If there's anything you're looking forward to that has not been confirmed yet, feel free to ask or throw it out there in the comments as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys found this informative, and I will see you back here for the next video.